Every practice schedule, and we face somebody, everything we did, every film breakdown, every analogy, and then we do a thing at the end of the game. Things we've done well, things we've done poorly, things we do different in the game, big plays in the game, critical plays in the game, what that guy called when the game was on the line, what did that coordinator call? You know, you have a list of those things, and we keep a file on everybody, offense, defense. We've done it for years, and we file them away. When you play them again, you pull them out, see how they changed or what they've done, or things like that, just to keep a running record of guys you play. Because whether in the conference, you cross over in this business, you cross over so much.
And also, a quick follow-up. Could you look into the future a little bit and imagine having to play?
I wish I could.
We'll play another game in 8 to 10 days after this. This would, conceivably be a semifinal. Next year we're going to play, playoff. Yeah, no, it will be. I mean, it'd be a very tough thing because the mental capacity to get up that many times. But it's what we'll have to do, and kids will adjust. Kids will adjust and they'll adapt. And but it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be that much harder to get to where you want to go. That's for sure.
Way in the back left.
Sean Shoppy, Campus Insiders. You talked about keeping emotions in check, and we talked about Jameis's age. Tomorrow, he's an excitable kid, too. Tomorrow is his birthday. Do you talk to him beforehand to try to keep him from being too excited?
We always have our ways of the same routine we'll go through and what we'll do, and he'll handle that. He'll know. He'll be his birthday, but he'll let the game override everything, and we'll go through our same normal routine, our same talks in which we always have.
Ira
Schofield, Tallahassee Democrat. Jimbo, you've talked about how leadership can come from any class, but this senior class and the way some of those guys have, in some cases, stepped aside and let younger guys play and still been good teammates. Could you talk about that class?
Well, that's what I say. It's one of the most unselfish football teams I've ever been around, or any team for that matter, that they just want to have success, and whatever their role is and whatever the roles of coaches and we suggest, that's what they're willing to do. And that's very rare, especially in today's times with the entitlement of kids and how we, if Johnny doesn't have success right now, he's leaving, he's transferring, all those types of things. I mean, it's a special group of guys who truly care, and I think it goes back to how much they love each other and the trust they have within each other, and the trust they have in the coaches and us and them. I think they know that when we communicate with them, it's the truth, and we're not going to do anything that's detrimental to them, and they trust us in that regard, and have been tremendous that way. There's been a lot of guys that way. It's a great point, Ira.
I'm going to come over here to Tony Barnhart.
Tony Barnhart, CBSSports.com. Jimbo, I want to follow up on something that Dennis said. I mean, you don't have to worry about this until a future year, but the reality is if we're in a 4-team playoff and you're playing a semifinal, you got 2 teams that are lurking out there. And part of your preparation, you've got to prepare in advance for 2 teams, right? How would that work?
Well, you'd have 2 or 3 weeks that you'd have your GAs break down both opponents and have them ready when you got back, just like you would during the season. I mean, those guys prepare for the next game, just like our GAs are breaking down the future opponents 2 and 3 and 4 weeks ahead of time, and we keep a running tab and see how they change. So we would do it just like the regular season, and that's where your infrastructure, your organization, have enough people to be able to do that, and that's what you would do. They would break both teams down, and when you come back on that Sunday and ready to play, you'd have the report of the team you were playing right then.
Go right here, right in the front.
Jimbo, Danny Morales of Skyboat.com. How focused have you seen Jameis over this past month, especially considering, he's playing a team from his home state, and also he'll be playing this game on his birthday? He's
been wonderful. Since he's been out here, the first 5 practices were good, and we come back from Christmas. Like I say, most of the guys took about a day to get back into the groove of things real quick after they ate a bunch of turkey and ham, I guess, when they went home. But then after that, they practiced well, and he's been laser focused. He really has in his mental and physical preparation this week. He's been accurate with the ball, great decisions, knows what very decisive in everything in practice, and he's been very good.
Right here to Gary.
Gary Smith, Florida Times Union. Jimbo, obviously Auburn gets a certain amount of respect for turning a 3-9 season over like they have, but this time last year, you had lost that game against NC State. You got rolled pretty good by Florida. Even though you won a bowl game, you had the turnover in the assistants, and the schedule was being questioned. The fan base was a little bit edgy. Talk about your comeback from that. I mean, you guys, even though it was a pretty good season by most standards last year, you guys have come a long way from last year, haven't you?
Yeah, I think we never went anywhere. We didn't have to come back. We were ACC champs and won the Orange Bowl and won 12 games. I mean, and that to me is could we have won another game or 2? Yeah, but you're going to say that every year. I mean, there's going to be certain times you're undefeated. When 12-2 doesn't become good enough, we got issues in this business. And because when you're winning 12 games a year and winning Orange Bowls and BCS and conference championships, you better appreciate those, because it was about 10 or 12 years you couldn't have one of those. So I think that's ball. Other guys are on scholarship, other good players. So we didn't go anywhere. We were the same team. We just keep building, and we learn from the little mistakes we have and continue to grow.
Over here to the right.
Bonnie Bernstein, Campus Insiders. Jimbo, can you sort of reflect back on when you took the reins from Bobby, and now that you're at the championship game, how does the timeline compare to what you expected back then, the timeline you set for yourself to get them to a championship game?
You know, I don't know if I ever set a time to set it to get to a championship game, but I set a timeline that I thought within 4 to 5 years that we could be one of the teams competing for championships year in, year out because of our recruiting and having the type of team that we become a program and not a team anymore. And that's what I wanted, and it's right on schedule for where I wanted to be, hopefully by our first senior class, that we were one of the teams, if we weren't in it, that you would be talking about being in it or having an opportunity to be in it or playing in a major bowl game and competing year in, year out. And that's kind of the timeline we had set in which we needed to be. But our staffs and the people that have worked here in the past and the guys that are here right now have done a tremendous job of getting players in and develop them, and we're very happy with where we're at.
Come back over here to Kurt.
Jimbo, Kurt Bowles from Austin again. Jimbo, I don't know if you followed the Texas coaching search at all.
I tried not to. I was trying to coach. But yeah, go ahead.
I was curious if I could borrow your book on Charlie Strong. And I was curious what your impressions of Charlie are. And how do you think he'll do at Texas?
Oh, Charlie, I went against Charlie a lot of years in the SEC. And Charlie's an excellent coach, a very good guy, good recruiter. I think he'll do an excellent job. I think he's done a tremendous job at Louisville, turning those guys around and making them. I mean, they've won, 23 or 24 games in the last 2 years. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but they've won an Orange Bowl and they won the Champs Bowl this year in a great game and played very well. Or not, a Sugar Bowl was last year. We won the Orange Bowl, didn't we? But I think Charlie's an excellent coach, excellent guy. I mean, great guy to talk when you're out on the road. Very personable guy. I think you get along. I think you'll interact with the press very well. I think you got a very good coach. I think you got a very, very good coach.
Go back over here to Mike again.
Yeah, Mike Bianchi, Orlando Sentinel. Jimbo, you were talking about yesterday about sort of when you took over modernizing the program somewhat. You said something about your mental conditioning of your players. Do you have mental conditioning coaches? How do you mentally condition players?
Well, you have to teach guys how to think and handle and deal with situations. Yes, we do. I mean, we have guys who come in and talk to the guys, and we do it. It's not just a game time thing, or it's not just a during the season thing. This is a year-round thing. You wonder why. I mean, when you talk guys about how they believe and how they become unselfish and how they handle and deal with things, it's all integrated in our player development through the off season. And we have a person in Trevor Moad with API who does a tremendous job with us of developing our guys in the off season. We have sports psychologist guys in which we also talk with. They're even above that deal with guys who are dealing with issues, family issues, how to deal with pressure, how to deal with different things. We have a group of guys, just like a team of guys, just like you would for, you have tutors for a class. We have guys that teach our guys how to think, how to handle pressure, how to deal with things, and how to develop their attitudes and priorities in life and how to structure themselves so they can think the right way. Because to me, you talk about destinies and you talk about what a guy does, it's all about decision making. He has to understand how to make decisions in his life, because if you make the right decisions, good things happen to you. And we tell our players every day, the most powerful thing you have, you control what happens to you. Nobody else in this world ever controls what happens to you. You control what happens to you by the decisions you make on a daily basis. Those create habits, and your habits create your attitude, and in turn, that's who you become as a person, because that's what you do. And we believe in developing that in the off season so our guys can make the right decisions on and off the field, and they can be more consistent on how they do things. And I think that's a huge part of what we do and been a key to our success.
Go all the way in the back here.
Coach Fisher, again, going back to Coach Bowden, this is your team, all your players, but it's been a difficult week for Coach Bowden with the loss of his grandson. He is here, doesn't know whether or not he'll go to the game, but talk about the foundation he laid for Florida State and what part or piece, if you win a national championship, is a piece of Bobby Bowden?
Well, I think Bobby Bowden will always be a piece of Florida State. He made Florida State a national brand name. I mean, that's the brand that Florida State became, was because of Coach Bowden, and then it's allowed us all to have the successes in which we're having right now. I mean, someone had to start this thing and build it up, and he took it and did it. And like I say, I have the most respect for him. He was at practice yesterday. We talked at the FCA breakfast, and my heart goes out to Jeff and his family, as Jeff Bowden, as he lost his oldest son. I mean, one of his sons, TJ. Jeff was my coach. He coached me. We coached together. I remember when TJ was born, we were together at Stanford University and things. I mean, I go back with that family a long time, and it's a great tragedy. It's a terrible tragedy that what's happened to them. And you know, for Coach Bowden to lose 2 grandchildren like he has in the past 6 years, and Jeff to lose a son, it's devastating.
We're going to take our last question from Ralph.
Ralph Russo, Associated Press. Jimbo, so much is made about you having time with Nick Saban, and there's a lot of comparisons there, and obviously with Bobby. Who else sort of influenced you in your time coming up as a coach?
Well, I think everyone, you learn from everyone. You know, Coach Terry Bowden was with me for a long time. Les Miles I was with for 2 years over there and learn things from. Other assistant coaches you're around, you pick things up from. I mean, there's a lot of people. But I say also as a coach, and I never say this, and this sounds crazy, my father and my mother, about how to deal with people. They were leaders, they were teachers, my dad was a boss in the coal mines, but he still handled people. When you're a coach, you're in charge of people, and how you deal with people and how you handle people. And those still my 2 greatest influences in life was my mother and my father, without a doubt. But, you know, I learned from all the other guys I've been around.